Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to our next episode of the Kentum playthrough. You might be hearing a little bit of music in the background. That's because I recorded, and for some reason my PC picked up another video that was playing in the background, and so some of the dude's voice could be heard over the gameplay. So I decided to go ahead and mute the gameplay for a little while, not too long, and put a little bit of background music so there wouldn't be, me talking in total silence. Today's episode has a couple of goals. First one being we're going to unlock the glider. Then we're going to also unlock some other parts of the crafting tree. Now, keep in mind what I've been doing so far is I've been editing out if I go out to farm or whatever, then just so you guys don't have to necessarily see everything that I'm doing. If I did, the game would be really, 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 really long. This playthrough would be like 100 episodes, I think, at this point, because there's just so much more. So here in the blender is where you make the glue. You need that for the glider. The other item we need for the glider are this cloth, which we can make here. We have enough animals. We have some animal skins. And then we need to make the bouquet of feathers. And the bouquet of feathers can be made with the same machine that makes the osseous cube, the concentrator, I believe it's called. So the good news is that most of these ingredients are pretty easy to get. They're close by. Just go down one level down into the underground. You can kill the little rats for the skin. Find the jelly cubes. They don't attack you, thank goodness. And you can make the glue for that. And then go get some birds to get the feathers. Not the evil ostriches, but the falcons or whatever they are. The Spiros. I call them Spiros. Pidgeys. They look like Pidgeotos, but whatever. With the hook, it becomes a lot easier to grab them because you can just grab them, slam them to the ground, grab them again, and repeat. So, yeah, you should have a glider pretty easy once you unlock the recipe. And if you don't remember how to unlock the recipe, I think we did it about 2 episodes ago. It's actually easy, you just have to explore a lot. So that's the next step. For me, I'm going to unlock that next industrialization one. I kind of made it, I guess you could say, a bit of a mistake, but so I unlocked this uranium even though I'm not going to use it because I had so much cognitive fluid and it was going to spoil. I still had some that spoiled anyway, but I said, okay, well, might as well. Then the next piece I really needed to focus on, like I said, was not only the glider, which I went off and got my materials for it, but then I also started getting my automation unlocked, as you can see right there. So the next step of automation gets a funnel, which is really cool. It allows you to collect all the items that are you can use a conveyor belt to move the item somewhere and then go into the funnel. So yeah, we're making a lot of headway. We're also going to be trying to unlock the next step of the crafting tree with his luminescence or something or other. Bioluminescence, I think. I don't know. I forgot the name, but it's there. And the reason I need to unlock that one is that's going to be necessary to unlock the Kent cube, right? The Metroid ball. So we need to be able to do that. So that's going to be our next big step in the tree. But while I do that, I have some good news while I do that. So I'm going to go out to farm, and I'm back from farming. Again, I'm not going to show you everything, but I have some good news. The good news is that the devs have listened and are listening actively on the Discord. You guys, if you have comments, concerns, questions, please hop onto the Kentum Discord and ask there. They're going to be creating a way to automate plant watering, and the entire world rejoiced because that is quite possibly the most tedious part Alright, so here we go. Next step. Now catalysis has been unlocked. This unlocks glass. Right? If you were wondering how you get glass, that's how you get glass on the very last rung of the industrialization tree, or branch of the industrialization tree. You get to catalysis, which unlocks the next big piece, which is glass. It unlocks your ability to make it in the kiln, thank goodness. But that is the next piece of what we should be focusing on to unlock the next steps. And I have my glider. So with the glider, it's like a double jump. You jump in the air, you press B, and then you press B again, and that makes your glider open up. And you can use it regardless if there are updrafts or not. That vacuum sound means chill music is gone, so the rest of this gameplay does have normal gameplay noises. So here was me being funny and trying to figure out how to... I was double jumping, and you can see that the glider wasn't activating, so I said, that's weird. Well, I said, no matter. Let's go explore the area to our right anyway with the glider, and here it is. That's the glider. So now, these are new. These are eggs. Unborn bird capsule, right? So here's how easy it is to get those birds. You grab them, slam them to the ground. Grab them, slam them. Three of them do it. Sometimes they kill them in one hit. I don't know what causes that. But these bird eggs are actually... Yeah, there it is. They're a huge sort of food. And they're easy to craft. And they're easy to grab. Just come up here. Same with the crab apples, which I already grabbed a whole bunch. So yeah, if you're running low on food, this little area here is going to be your go-to. Just go in, craft some... Because you can kill the birds for the bird skewers. You can grab these eggs from tamago skewers. You can grab the crab apple for the crab apple skewers, and you're pretty much set. So yeah, that's the glider. I don't believe we explore any new areas today with the glider, and except this part. But up here, if you glide all the way up, you're going to find the basketball hoop cosmetic item. So I thought that was pretty funny. You know, if you want to decorate your house with a basketball hoop, go ahead. I did notice while I was exploring that some areas you could access them anyway. You didn't need the glider. I guess the glider just makes things a little bit quicker because you don't have to hook anywhere, or you're able to also be using your shield. I don't know what the purpose of that was, but I could reach that area regardless with some dashing and some fancy hook shotting, right? But I guess it does make it easier to traverse if you're... See, there I one-shot him. I don't know why. Anyway, so one of the cool things about the glider is I no longer have to constantly dash or use my Rocco. I can just, glide easily to where I'm going. So that was nice. That's something nice from the glider. Also, right now the gravity is kind of low, so it makes me travel a little bit further along. So we've unlocked the glider, we've unlocked the next step in our crafting tree, which was really important because we need to get glass. Once we do that, like I said before, try to automate as much as you can the production of duranium ingots and plastic ingots, because that's a bit of a pain. I'm not going to go for my ore companion, but I do need lumen core. That's what's next for me, lumen core. So don't forget that, guys, lumen core. And then I'm also going to try to unlock catalysis, which is the next step right there, so I can do my class. So here's where I said, darn, right? I shouldn't have spent all my cognitive fluid on the... But the good news is I have so many berries that I get this done pretty quickly. And then the next step would be obviously ceramics that I can have the ingredients for. So it's mostly comes down to analyzing what you have available in your base and what you've seen so far in different areas. For example, I know I don't know how to make conductive mesh yet, and I don't know how to make rice balls and oil bulbs, for example. I don't know how to make those. I haven't found the recipe, but I know that I'm going to be able to make Cube once I finish the recipe for the luminescence, which I already know what I'm going to need. All I need is conductive fluid type B and ingots. But here, I really was tired of carrying one of each food. It was driving me bananas. And what I mean by that is, you can only carry one item. And I said, why am I only carrying one of the food items, right? Like one meat skewer at a time. And if you're going out far, you need so many of them. You need like at least 5 to make it through like a long journey, even if you're warping. So with this one, it unlocks the ability to have more of your rations stack on top of each other, which is very, very useful for saving space. I immediately saw the difference between that and having it just be one-on-one, which I didn't like. So if you're starting to notice, the bitter mucilage is coming into play more and more. That bitter mucilage is in those little pods we saw in the underground area of the jungle, the yellow ones that I kept picking from the roof. You saw me. I still haven't found a use for coral. I'm sure I will soon. But that's mostly it. Everything else, I'm running out of glue. Well, not glue, the jelly thing or whatever it's called. I'm running out of that. So there's your tamago yakitori. So apart from unlocking these next stage of crafting, I'm kind of excited, to be honest with you. Mostly because I know that I'm one step away from unlocking the final traversing item, which would be the cube. The rest of the items I've got, so that means I can go explore to my heart's content to different areas that I hadn't been able to access before. Funny story, I saw somebody in the Discord talk about the cube, and they're like, I think I already talked about this, that you need the glider, but you don't. You don't. If you know how to use the hook properly, I got there without using the hook, so I guess there's no point because you can't really unlock the next step, but it is what it is, right? So yeah, then I'm excited to go explore more areas of the world now that I have access to the glider, and I'll be able to, since I'm not unlocking secrets anymore in terms of weaponry, more than likely what's going to that allow me to do is reach new areas with new creatures and new things to scan so that I can unlock the next steps needed for crafting, specifically cognitive fluid type C and type D and those kinds of things, and see where the heck I can get those rice balls and other stuff that I don't know where to obtain. So I figure it must be from a recipe, right? Also, apologies for Monday's lack of upload, but I did let everybody know that I record the day prior. So today is, for me anyway, it's Tuesday. I'm recording for something that's going to be live on Wednesday. I couldn't record on Sunday. It was family day, and I was busy with Little League and softball and all that kind of stuff. So I couldn't really sit down on my computer and record the voice. So I said, okay, you know what? I think it's fair to have one day where I don't upload things, and that's going to be on Mondays. If that seems not to be feasible, like people want to be seeing things every day, I can make the extra effort of recording a double episode on Saturday and having just space them out, right? Like, it's fine. I don't mind. It was just I kind of do it early in the morning, my recording, so that I don't bother anybody, and it's before I get started with all my meetings. Boy, howdy, do I have a lot of meetings. So yeah, exploring this area now with, I said, okay, well, we need a couple of things, right? We need to make sure that we gather up enough of everything, especially the limestones, to make sure that we're able to build what we need and explore the areas that we need to explore quickly, right? And I wanted to show you that now with the hook and the vacuum, I'm flying through these things, right? I could use the Rocco, I really could, and I think the Rocco would reduce my hunger, and I keep forgetting to use it a lot. The only problem is I don't like using the Rocco when I know there's enemies around, because I feel that my reaction times get affected. I can't react as quickly. But see how easy it was for me to go down, grab what I need, come back up, and get the next step, right? that's what I mean by sometimes I am going to show you this because look how easy it was just to go and get some stuff and come back. It's not, the game's not that. It doesn't even have to go way out somewhere to farm. I have done that already for some other things. But, so glass is unlocked by pulverizing limestone where you get, where you make the coffee grounds. So the coffee grounds, you can make different types. You can also make the pulverized limestone there. But you need limestone, of course. And so here comes your next bottleneck, guys. Now you can't grow limestone. Fortunately, in the last patch, the devs were like, oh, these poor bastards, they're not finding limestone. So they made more nodes appear underground of limestone so that you can go and farm up. So now the only thing is you're going to have a bunch of stone, limestone, and uranium. You're going to have a ton of, because most of the time the limestone gives you stone and limestone, and then the limestone some of the uranium deposits give you uranium and limestone. So you end up accumulating a lot of these materials, which is fine. I am going to stress that pinning your recipes is super important and unpinning what you don't need. So the problem is you can't unpin stuff unless you know where it is and you go manually to unpin it. So you'll see right now. I said, I guess I'll pin Ore Companion. Then I think, what the heck? I don't know what Ore Companion does. I need to get ceramics going because I know it's going to be the next part and it still requires cognitive fluid type A. So I want to be done with making cognitive fluid type A. And I know that the upcoming parts of the tree require that. I thought I was done. I really did, but I'm not. So I said, okay, well, let's unpin what we don't need. Let's pin what we do need, so that I'm actually, tracking stuff as I'm progressing through the game. So here's where you're gonna find the pulverized limestone. That's new. Takes 2, which is not too bad, and that will be able to yield you the next piece of our crafting tree, which is glass, which is great. Now there's another thing that you need to know, and that's creating green fluid and creating the next step of the potion tree. So you're going to need potions and to be able to craft certain upgrades next. And so the way you do that is you have to create first the green fluid, and then after you create that green fluid, you're able to use it to create the potion. So you'll see right now kind of what I went through, and the bitter mucilage comes into play now again, right? So I know that I'm maybe saying a lot of terms out loud really quickly and it might be a little bit confusing, but what it comes down to is you guys identifying what you're going to need next, what your bottleneck is going to be, what that's going to look like, and being able to go and collect all these items efficiently. I think that's the key word here, efficiently. Because if you're just looking around, trying to find where stuff is, you're going to get lost. You can look at your map, and in your map you can identify where stuff is growing, and then you can just directly target farm, those kinds of things, right? So here, as you can see now, I can stack my dishes. I am so happy. Now keep in mind, I had to stock and restock in order to get some things to combine. That was kind of annoying. For example, some of the apples I think hadn't been properly combining, and I had to store them and then grab them again for them to combine into 2. But hey, 2 is better than 1. It saves 100% more space, right? Which is great. So yeah, the next parts of Kentum right now we're starting to accelerate, and it's starting to get a little bit more, I don't want to say difficult, but as we're trying to figure out what comes next, the biggest thing I think for us right now is to unlock luminescence so I can get the Ken Cube. But then a big part of what we're going to do next episode is we're going to explore the areas that I have left to explore. I really want to try upgrading the damage of my staff, and I haven't checked recently what I require for that, so I want to do that. Upgrade the damage, see if I can get more health. And here it is, green infusion. We're going to need that, and you're going to need blue infusion. So make note of the ingredients for it, and make sure you have enough, because you need green infusion in order to be able to craft the next level of potions, and you need that next level of potions to unlock something else, right? So some of this stuff requires potions in order to be able to advance. And if you've been playing Kentum, like, I really want to hear your thoughts on the game and what you think could be better. There it is, see? Potion. It's green infusion. I really want to hear what you guys think about the game and what could be done better, or what changes you would like to see. If you don't want to go to the Discord, that's fine. You can put them in the comments on my videos, and I will be super glad to pass it along to the developers. I have no problem doing that. I think that gaming in general is a community thing, not just because we all come together to play something similar, but I think that video games are experiences at the end of the day. And so that means that people have different ways of experiencing things, right? That's just humanity. So it's always important to grab different points of view when a game releases, to see who is having what kind of an experience within the game and where the game could be improved to accommodate a better experience for most players. Now, you cannot change the entirety of a game or the essence of a game based on experiences. Like, for example, you can also have this be a like kill enemies to gain experience RPG kind of thing, right? You can't do that. The game's not that. But for example, if there's, like, for example, watering plants, that was a big deal for not just me, a lot of players. That's something the devs are going to look into implementing. And that came from all of us talking to them and saying, hey, you guys have a problem. The automation piece, they're going to try to make it a little bit, not easier, but a little bit more streamlined as well. And that also came from us talking about it and saying, hey, some of us are not automating to a high complexity, but we want it to be a little bit easier to automate and clearer as to how we can do things, because right now it's not 100% clear how the conveyor belts work and what do I need for them to function properly and all those kinds of things. And then the last piece is we want to hear what you think about the game, because it helps us get better. Us as a publishing company, it helps us choose games better. When we receive feedback, we take that into consideration from all of our games, and we try to say, well, what do we look for in the future? What do we want to publish? We want to publish games that have a certain level of polish and have a certain level of completeness to them, but that also take into consideration these elements, because players like that, right? So your voice is heard. Always give your opinion, and opinions, they're not necessarily wrong, right? So yeah, you've been watching me run around my base collecting plants, crafting things right now, because that's where we are at this stage of the game. Exploration is winding down a little bit in terms of my next step of moving forward. But I'm collecting now potions. I'm collecting my green fluids. That's your guys' next step too, if you've been following along. So yeah, look out for our next episode tomorrow. And hope you're having a blast. I am too. Take it easy.